freezing cold, and we're on the way to get
Cold, but it
some.
ain't freezing cold.
He just got some gas, and
I got a gas mask.
got a gas mask on.
Oh, yeah, put this in my pocket.
And we're always losing. I don't know if you guys are like us. We're always
Oh my
losing the
gosh.
mask. We're like, we gotta buy more masks. I've made some.
I bought 9 of them from Walmart, and only got 1 left.
Yeah, and it's like they're like socks. Because you throw them in the laundry, it's like, where are they? So we're gonna buy some more. I made some. I'm gonna make some more because I'll give him the good ones, and then I'll just use the ones I make because that'll probably be the smart way.
I don't like the ones you make.
I know, neither do I all the time, but for a man, you can't wear flowers and stuff like that like a girl can so easy. So,
Fingers are cold. So
yeah,
I
it's
gotta wear
cold out here, guys.
My gloves, my driving gloves.
Yes, it's freezing.
So the car warms up in the
So-
next 5 miles.
So we're going to go get some poinsettia because
I do it after Christmas, and they're
cheaper.
usually half to 3/4 off on them.
I mean, he would have bought me one before Christmas, but I
But
just...
why?
Well, I kept saying, no, don't bother. Wait, buy after, and that way maybe I'll get more
Buy
than
after.
one or just one.
Last year we went to Walmart and they were 2 cents.
They
a
were 2
piece
cents. So why would I buy...
a week after Christmas.
So we're going to... I'm
Why
not...
would you spend $3 to $10 for a plant you can get for 2 cents a week later?
Yeah, so that's what we're going to. And when you buy a poinsettia, you just want to really look them over really good because they really can't take the cold, but they can turn into a tree. I
Well,
didn't know. I didn't
They're
know.
a bush. They're not. You can trim them to be a tree.
But they're native to Mexico, I believe.
It's, yeah, South American.
They're beautiful. They're really, really super, super pretty, guys. And so some of them, you got to kind of watch because some of them are they like dyed or something? They're not like,
No, they're.
some aren't natural or
I said some of them are sprayed with
yeah.
a color, but the
Yeah.
ones that are natural are like the white, the pink, and the red.
Yeah. So
Some of them are variated; those are natural.
and there's also some
But
of
you
them
get
have
the ones that are like purple and that. They said they're
like sprayed like some of them like I think there's a light yellow too, and they're what was I gonna say? They said that I'm trying to think because we were doing a lot of research on these. Well, anyway.
I just like the red ones, anyways.
We like the red ones, and so they'll grow all year. My son's wife was, it was kind of a joke because she's like, Rusty, throw that poinsettia away because he has a really good green thumb. He's like my husband, and I guess I'm the same way. So his poinsettia lived and lived and lived, but I want to keep mine all year. So I like them even if they're green. So I'm not like.
Well, just because leaves fall off doesn't mean they're dead.
Right. Well,
They'll come back.
Clay taught me that because a couple times I'm like, oh, this plant kicked the bucket. And he's like,
Now in the south, they cut them right down.
to nothing.
And just to the stalk and the root systems, and they come back in the spring. They cut them down every fall, just like you would say a hydrangea or something.
Yeah, because I decided I'm going to invest in house plants rather than the outside pretty flowers unless I change my mind. Because they live so much longer up here in upstate New York. Where my sister in Arkansas, she preferred the outside plants more, so it was kind of nice because we were talking.
They're in a better climate too.
Yeah. So she likes her flowers and everything outside, where I want a jungle. And Clay showed me this morning some of my plants weren't happy. It's really cold on their front window, so I'm going to have to move them today too. So I'm pretty excited because we've been talking about these poinsettia for a couple of weeks. So, I mean, I love them. I love them beautiful any way I can get them, but
I like the red ones, but even after the red leaves die off, they still look nice green. So.
Yeah, right. Well, they had variegated leaves, which I thought were really pretty, too.
Yeah.
But some of them are going to be harder to find, and some of them had like red with different
You have
colors.
to go from
and
different greenhouse, different green.
yeah, when you get into plants like that, and I am pretty much one of these people that.
If you're going to be a collector of them.
Right.
But we're not going to collect them. We're going to have one plant.
Right. We're not going to be like crazy about it, but here's the thing too. What was I gonna say? I know, Clay. He never knows.
I never know what you're gonna say, Ruthie.
Clay, I don't like that when you say that to me.
Why?
It sounds
I
like
never
you're
know what you're gonna say
It sounds
next.
like you're insulting me.
I'm not insulting. I'm just saying I never know what you're gonna say next.
I know I am kind of like that. I
You're
just,
unpredictable.
that's good.
All right, now
When you least expect it,
these side
expect
roads
it.
are the ones that are gonna be snowy. They didn't look too bad. It's still gonna suck if nothing else.
It's very hard to offend me, by the way, guys. Can you tell I was in sales for years? People say no to me all day long, and I keep asking. But
And I still say no to her.
he still says no.
She still nags at you until you say yes.
I do not. No, usually this is how it goes with Clay and I. When he says no, I usually say okay. If it's something that I really feel very strongly about,
She'll nag me about it.
I'll nag the heck. No, I'll put my foot down and say we have to do this. But usually he'll understand the reasoning after I explain myself, right?
And when I say no, I don't say no just because I won't let her have it. She just doesn't need it at this point.
Right, right. When Clay says no, it'll be like, he'll say no, and then a week later he'll say, okay, let's go do that today. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And he's like, let's go do that. It's like, oh, okay. I usually don't buck Clay on hardly anything, really. Don't you think so? I don't
Well,
really.
if she asks for something, I usually get it for her because, like we said in other videos, we celebrate Christmas, but we don't do all the gifts and all that at Christmas time because if there's something I need or something that she wants, we get it throughout the year. So we don't need to wrap it up and set on it for 6 months before we can have it. If we want it today, we can use it today. And that's why we do what we do.
And it's like a lot of times he'll say, do you want something? And I'll say no. Like he said, like, do you want a dishwasher? Do you want a stove? And I'll be like, you know, Clay, it takes me 10 minutes to do the dishes. Now that I don't have these other responsibilities.
And plus I buy
You know, he buys
plates and
paper
stuff
plates and all that stuff for
just
me.
in case.
Yeah, because I don't want to do the dishes. Or he'll say, do you want a new stove? And I'll say, yeah, but we hardly use the stove. We're going to get a new stove.
Yeah, we'll get it.
But we were going to wait just because we hardly ever use the stove, and we didn't want to just grab a
We didn't have to run out
stove.
and get it just because the
Right.
holidays were coming because we weren't going to cook a big
Turkey.
Thanksgiving or Christmas turkey or anything. So why did we have to have a stove right then?
But you know how it is
The
when
stove
one.
can wait till summer for that matter.
You know how it is when one thing goes, they all go. Like if you buy all your appliances at the same time, then they all go. What did we just buy that was bad?
The furnace. We just put
Yeah,
all
we-
that money into the furnace.
But usually Clay and I
But we had the money to do it because we're not spending it like a couple $1,000s or something for Christmas presents. You got to set on for 6 months.
But it's like I want to go and I want to enjoy buying the stove, picking out the stove that we're gonna get, the dishwasher. We've been through the dishwasher thing, and I've been through the dishwasher thing. And honestly, it's just I'm too fussy about the dishes, and I want them clean. So I just, you know, they would buy me a dishwasher, but I just don't want one.
And if you're like me and you don't like to do the last minute Christmas shopping anyhow because things are picked over,
Right.
half the stuff you want is gone, you got to run around to 10 different stores to find something, or you got to go online to look for it, or why do that when maybe June or July you might find that toaster oven or, you know, bandsaw or whatever been looking for or interested in. They've got them in stock.
Well, it's like my sister said to me, she goes, don't buy a stove. And I'm like, why? She goes, I never use my stove. And, well, what happens is, this is the story with the stove, guys. I have a new wave. I have every cooking appliance you could imagine. And, in fact, we're going to probably get the new wave and hardly ever use the stove. It's probably going to be there more for show than anything else, the stove.
Well, if
In the
you're
winter,
gonna-
I might
If
bake.
you're going to bake cookies or something, it's nice to have a nice
But I mean, I can still use my stove, but I just wanted to. The thermostat went on it, so it's like 175 degrees is really the 250 or 350. So I just don't use it. I can use the top, but I just figured I want to get a new stove, but I wanted to wait because I want, I'm trying to paint and do everything else too. So anyway, isn't this fun, guys? But this is the stuff you can do when you're a senior citizen that you can't do when you got a bunch of kids. Because when you got a bunch of children at home, you have to have a stove like tomorrow.
Yeah,
You have to have a dishwasher like tomorrow, But when it's just the two of you, it's like dishes 10 minutes a day.
Well, there's times we don't even feel like making a big dinner. That
we eat like once a day now.
just
We're
go
on a diet.
go to the refrigerator if you find something to nibble on, and it satisfies you. Like there's times that I'll just want a handful of radishes, or maybe a dill pickle spear or something just to tide me over. That's pretty much a lunch.
Oh, I know what we did. We just bought dryer. We just had to buy a dryer.
Well, we had to buy a
I
dryer
knew that we had
because-
something that we just bought. I couldn't remember what it was, but that was in the summer. But
Yeah, but it's instead of waiting until the holidays to get what you need, you get it when you need it.
And David, this brings us to this stuff. Clay and I can go out right now. We could buy a brand new house. We could buy all kinds of stuff. We're not poor or anything like that. It's just
But why
that
go in debt for it?
exactly. So and even if we bought it, we wouldn't be going in debt. It's just that I would enjoy for women, it's experience. Like I want to go enjoy looking for a new stove. I want to enjoy doing. I just don't want to grab and come home and like, oh, I got to have that, And I'm not looking for anything fancy because I'm just not. I mean, just something that's like it works good. Let's use that because I don't know. I guess half the bells and whistles, unless you're going to use
and most of the bells and whistles don't last more than a year.
right. So most of the bells. I mean, it's just for
You
me.
want to look over your situation.
Exactly. Well, like Clay said to me, he asked me if I wanted like a fancy dryer and stuff. Without, I said, Clay, honestly, I said you might think I'm funny, but I walked over to this one dryer and I said, that's all I need. It turns on, it turns off, it heats my clothes, the end. Because I know, like, if I have something fancy, I'll put it in the washer and I'll take it out and I'll hang it out. But if it's anything special, I'm not going to put it in the dryer anyway. If it says hand wash, I'm going to put it in the washer, take it out and hang it up. I'm not going to be putting that in the dryer anyway, And the same with the stove. If every thermostat of every stove is different. So you should always have like a stove thermometer if you're cooking something really elaborate and fancy like a chef, because every stove is different. So you should never learn recipes. You need to learn methods. So I know that when I use my stove, I'm going to think, okay, I'm going to sit here. If it's something special, I'm going to sit in the kitchen and work on my computer while I'm checking that whatever I'm making every 5-10 minutes. So I don't need to have anything. You just told me a new wave oven is the same as a convection or whatever, an air fryer and all that.
Yeah, it's a new wave is just like having a microwave, a stove, and a convection oven and microwave all in one. I mean, they cook faster.
You don't need all those appliances. You just get a new wave, right?
Yeah, if you get a new wave, but a lot of times
We have a new wave.
the
too.
new waves, if you're doing for a large group or a family, big family, the new wave would be useless to most people.
Right. So what I'll do is like I
But
said,
for a couple or
like for us, we
with
use
3 people or something, it'd be fine.
like I said, we have a stove because we have the new wave and we have this and that, but we still need a stove in case you want to bake cookies or even just basically it's to bake cookies. But either way, it's
And we really don't eat cookies.
But I want a stove. I mean, you want a stove in the house.
But if you wanted to do a turkey, break the turkey up into meals or for the freezer and that, cooked turkey, it's nice to have it on there.
But see, when you're retired, things change a lot. When you have children and family at home, you can't do all that stuff. Or if because you have to think, you don't want your kids sitting there, and suffer, and you don't want to be like cooking outside on the grill every meal or something like that. But when it's just the two of you, and you're retired, you can say, I'll go out on Thursday. We'll spend the day looking for a stove, have a nice lunch, and.
But the new waves are nice if you're even if you're single. Now, I had the new wave when I was single, and I'd get home from work and I'd take a frozen steak out of the freezer, put it in the new wave, set it for 7 minutes, and go take a shower, and by the time I got out of the shower, my dinner was done. and 7 minutes from frozen to cooked.
And now I'm 58 and Clay's 63, and here's how I look at it. Like my stove. I'm hoping, because stoves should last a while. I'm not, just because I get a new stove doesn't mean I gotta use it 24/7. Doesn't mean I don't need to. But hopefully it'll stay new for years because it's gonna probably hardly ever get used.
Other than the stove top.
Exactly. Now the dryer, on the other hand, will use, that'll be used like
The dryer's used like 3 times a week.
yeah. So that thing's gonna be used like crazy. But but it's basically, it's like a car. When you get older, you don't go anyplace, so you think, like Clay talked about getting me another car, and I'm like, Clay, I only just want to drive the car when you're.
Well, it's always nice to have a backup.
So he's talking about getting me another car,
When
but I'm like,
one goes down, you don't have to rely on somebody else to get your own.
But these are the
That's what I like about it. I had 2 cars the whole time I was single.
But it's good for you guys to hear these conversations because it makes it sound like we're poor and that we're really struggling.
Or
we just don't see the need, and
do things that are logical.
And that's what happens when you become a senior citizen.
Well, that's even before you're a senior.
Yeah, well, it depends on how many people. You
Just
might be
being
single.
Being single or just being a married couple works both ways.
Yeah, you might be single, and you might think, the same way. I mean, like I said, when you have a family, it's a whole different ball game because those are your earning years, and you need to do as much as you can for your kids. They grow up fast, and they still come home. They
There's college and everything else you have to worry about.
Exactly, and they usually come and ask you for advice in the middle of the night when you're sleeping, like, hey, Mom, and like now my son calls us like every day, but but everybody.
And he's 30 years old.
And he's 30. So, but that's,
But that's good. He's got someone to come to.
right, because you give your children, and I think for the rest of your life, for the most part, your children will ask for advice, and like I say to my son, well, this is what I think, but you and your wife need to sit down and discuss it together as a couple, because that's your decision. But it's good for them to come, like Clay. Rusty has, like, my son likes to do what Clay does. He's got the same kind of a job, so he'll ask him little things, and so he'll just things like that are important. Or he'll ask me things about this or that. But usually, like a lot of times, my son and I will talk about movies. He talks to you about movies too, because Clay and him like the same kind of movies, and that.
All except for zombies.
I always say they have that bromance.
We don't see eye to eye on zombie movies.
If you're in the house, if you come visit us like out of the summer, it's so funny because my husband's outside. My son's like ringing the phone every 2 minutes. Clay's got somebody over, and it's like this was it's cute, because they're close. They're very close. But where are we going, guys? But I thought you guys might enjoy some of this too. But anyway, those are the
Roads
things.
are a little slippery on the back roads. Our main roads are bare.
See, now Clay and I lived in the city, and I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just a different style of life. We'd be going out to eat every night. We'd be running around. We'd be doing all kinds of stuff. But when you live in the country, everything's far, and it's more like a really relaxed. And it is definitely not for everyone. My son hated it. He did not like it. Years ago, I would not have liked this life as a young person. But as a senior, going into senior living, I love it. It's very relaxed. But when you're young, you're looking for friends, you're looking for activities, and your kids have things. But for us in our area, because but it's not for everybody. But then every kid is different. My son always had lots of friends, and he used to hate it when his friends would come over. We were talking about, I think, brothers and sisters or something the other day, and he loves being an only child. So it's all about your personality. I'm very social. I grew up in a house with 7 kids, and 5 of them were girls, and their boyfriends would come over, and some of us had 4 or 5 roosters crowing around looking for a girlfriend. So my parents always had all the boys and kids came to our house, so they knew that there was no they were there. And my father had his own business, so he could keep an eye on his daughters.
And I've always been independent.
Yeah, he's
even as a young age, because my father treated us like adults right from the start.
I always said I grew up like the sound of music, and it is really true, because to a degree, my dad had a buzzer sound for each kid because he didn't want to be yelling their names, because he had a business too. he didn't want to be called. So I was 6 short beeps and one. But my father was very good to us. He was like the Sound of Music, very loving, but he also had order because he had 7 kids. You know.
My father had order. He was a staff sergeant in the army, so but he wasn't.
Well, your dad had boys.
A pro man either.
You had lots of boys.
There's just 3 of us.
Oh, okay, good.
3 boys and 2 girls when I was growing up.
But
I have other brothers and sisters, but they were all adults by the time I came out.
and my parents also had a business, and my dad would be like, if he saw somebody that was like a young guy that was going through a hard time, struggling in life, a lot of times he'd give him a job. Sometimes he would move him in with our family. He'd support him, send him to school, the whole 9 yards. He was a very godly man, and so we had like us, and sometimes some of his workers lived in our home too. My parents had a big home, so it was fine. But he had, like I said, we had a few people, like maybe they had no place to go, and my dad would take them in, and they would be. Well, my dad had a printing company, so that they would, be press operators or artists or something like that. So, and I went to school for printing. I was like the girl with all the boys in the printing school, because I thought, well, my dad was like, I'm not sending any of my girls to college. You girls are all going to get married. So I went to printing school or offset lithography. When I was in high school, I did that because I figured I'd get a job in my dad's company. And I ended up doing secretarial work for a long time after high school, actually. So. And you went to be a chef. He went to chef and even got a scholarship for a chef. To be a chef. So.
But I don't do any of that.
Well, he does. He's taught me a lot of stuff because he knows a lot of the tricks and stuff from that. Okay, guys, I'm getting chatty. So.
Gabby.
So.
She's rambling.
I'm a rambling man. I know some of those old songs. I have a sister that's 14 years older than me. So I'm talking, she was born in 1948, and I was born in 62.
I've got a brother that's 16 years older.
You got a brother 16 years older than me. I've got one brother that's younger than me.
I have a niece from him that's 6 months younger than I am.
And I figured out that I'm not only an Irish twin, I'm an Irish triplet, I'm an Irish quadruplet, which is good. My husband is Irish and I am all Swiss.
I've got Irish blood, but I'm not Irish.
I am like 99.9 Swiss.
I don't have shamrocks growing out my ears or anything.
Shamrock.
There is Irish blood.
Okay.
There's also English blood.
Yes.
And Welsh. Kind of a Heinz 57.
There you go. So I come from a great big family. Okay, guys, so remember, big or small, you too can be a backyard farm. God bless.